David, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Appreciate you making the trip down. Probably not the most direct, is it, from Ascot? But
It's not.
well, I thought I'd kick it off, probably slightly differently to what we normally do. Who would you say right now is the biggest disruptor in the market when it comes to AI and technology?
Oh, blimey, that's a really good one. I mean, the thing is, there's so much of it going on in so many sectors of whether it's freight forwarding, air freight, sea freight, road freight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you put me on the spot there a little bit. That's a hard one because there are so many approaching it all from different angles. I think if I had to pick one, if you put me on the spot,
Gun to your head.
I'd probably say the guys at Freight Suite, who are a challenger TMS, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like scary good. They'd probably be, and I'm a little bit close to those guys anyway, so I'm a little bit further ahead than most. They're in the market, but they haven't really massively pounded the market yet. But I think when they do, people will be watching.
Well, it's probably an interesting. It's probably an interesting area, right? Because logistics, supply chain, traditionally, it's quite an old school, space.
Yeah.
Technology's obviously hit it.
Yeah.
We're now into AI. Like, what have you sort of seen over the last 2 or 3 years for AI and technology in the space?
I think it's probably one of the reasons I'm still doing what I do, because I think it's actually the most exciting time in our industry. I've been in the logistics and freight forwarding and e-commerce industry for a lot of years.
Yeah.
A lot more than I'd care to admit. But I think in the last 5 or 6 years, maybe a little bit longer, but certainly post-COVID, just the sheer volume of disruptors has been kind of astounding. And I think historically the business was pretty staid, was pretty traditional, nothing much changed. There was a few little tweaks here, a few little tweaks there, but nothing significant. And then literally in the last 5 or 6 years, it's just gone crazy, really, which I love. It feels like the most. Actually, I'm a bit gutted that it's happening now at the tail end of my career, and not like 20 years ago when we probably could have done a lot more.
Yeah.
But I think it is the time now.
Yeah.
Because the logistics industry is it's so ripe for disruption.
Well, the funny thing is, I know there'll be people in logistics companies watching, even maybe e-com companies and stuff like that. Could you give an example of where AI has actually hit logistics? If there's a few different examples or
Well, I think going back to simple TMS, I think the example of Freight Suite where they're using technology where before that people were doing the job, and now that it's agentic and there's pieces of tech that are actually doing the work, and the productivity, whether it's freight forwarders or anyone, where you've got people, you've got cost.
Yeah.
And obviously you can't do it just exclusively without people. You need people, but you need to overlay the smarts of the technology with the real life people.
Yeah.
And I think that I see when I look at these guys who I know pretty well, the level of productivity they're getting in terms of, number of jobs per head.
Yeah.
Compared to what we used to get at SEKO, it's mind blowing. Yeah. And it's all driven by the tech and the things that have been able to be built in the last 4 or 5 years that 6, 7, 10 years ago just weren't available.
Yeah.
So I think things like that. I also think the other area, which I'm not a massive expert on, but I see again some of the businesses that we deal with, are particularly in customs.
Yeah.
Where there's lots of lots of repetitive tasks, lots of things the same,
Yeah.
lots of ability to, to automate the data points.
Yeah.
And lots of companies kind of disrupting in those areas.
Yeah.
Whereas it used to be, you used to measure your productivity on, how many air freight jobs a month can you do per head? How many ocean freight jobs per month can you do per head? All those metrics appear to be going out the window.
Right.
Which is great for the companies if they can adopt it. But the challenge with our industry can be that it's quite slow to adopt.
It,
seems to want to fight change.
And so is that then going to lead to someone managing the tech over some of the people that may have been in those traditional jobs?
I think it's, and you see a lot of it in, and I read up a lot and podcasts and reading and articles and white papers and stuff. I think what people are saying is it's the combination of, using the people, it's not that say, I think it's the saying is, you're not going to lose your job to AI, but you might lose your job to somebody using AI.
Yeah.
Right. Which has been said 1,000 times, but actually I think that's kind of where I see it.
Where it's heading.
Some big expert, but as just kind of an observer in the industry, whether it be freight forwarding, e-commerce, fulfillment, the pace of change in the last 3 years has been kind of astounding, really.
Yeah.
But it's still, I think, quite fragmented. There's lots of companies approaching things in different ways and with different approaches, whether it be product led, whether it be service led. And nobody's just saying we're going to be this and we're going to disrupt everything with AI, because I think that's a too big a ask is the truth. And
I guess some of these companies are huge, aren't they? So almost the job of implementing it globally would be a task in itself.
I think that's the thing. So many of the companies in our industry are huge. And they've already got ways of doing things. They've already, and the other thing that we've seen in actually one of the projects that I'm involved in with one of the businesses that I'm a shareholder in, is it's also, it's even if there is the want to adopt, there's the issue of data and the fact that, the models and the agentic stuff will only respond when the data's good. And if the data's poor, then you've got to clean the data first, or you've got to do more with it to get the result you want. And that's pretty difficult. So I've seen a lot of, in the last year, seen quite a lot of different things.
Got you. No, interesting. I think when it comes to the big players, is there anyone that you think is slightly ahead of the curve on the whole AI piece?
I don't. I really don't. I think, again, it's like, if they are, if any of the big boys are, they'd probably be smart to keep it a little bit under the radar as best they can. Because it's not probably something you want to shout about for both external and internal reasons, because you don't want to, you don't want to scare the bejesus out of your staff. You probably don't want to be telling the competition too much, but you also want to appear to be at the leading edge. And being a pioneer. Or being one of the pioneers. But I don't see anybody that you go, wow, these guys are, that's pretty impressive. I mean, everyone seems to be adopting, but at different pace. Apart from maybe, I think some of the smaller companies who are still, at the market is so fragmented. The smaller companies, there's so many of them that there's so many of them. So their validation is important, and them being a part of the market is important. But for those companies, I think they are the ones that are in the adapt or die type box, but they're probably scared of doing it, don't know how to do it. Which I think is an opportunity in itself for people to be able to, for companies to help them get through that and show them how to do it. But it's such an interesting time.
Well, I mean, I'm seeing lots of these, these tech enabled companies pop up, and I guess it's almost that, that new game of build a tech company, probably then get bought by one of the big ones to.
Yeah, I mean, that this is where kind of the convergence of old school meets new school.
Yeah.
Where, my background was, obviously I worked for big American companies before we did SEKO, but SEKO was always built from profitability roots pretty much from day one.
Yeah.
Certainly year one.
Yeah.
And I think most freight forwarders, most companies, not for just freight forwarders, but most companies that are more than 20 years old are built that way. They're built that, well, if we're not profitable, we haven't got a business.
Yeah.
And obviously with tech in the last 25 years, that's not how it is. It's like, just don't worry about profit, just worry about revenue, grow. We'll worry about profit later, and then profit never comes.
Yeah.
I did, some short-term advisory for a business that had raised, over 100 million, 120 million, and had never turned a profit.
That's crazy.
Ever.
Yeah.
But that they were, a nice company, but that was their model. And they were kind of told to do that as well. They, they didn't really do anything wrong. They were just kind of doing what they thought was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But that's the convergence of old school thinking and new school thinking, both with tech and with business.
Yeah.
Is like, Mark and Keith, who I did and the other Keith who we did SEKO together, it was all like, well, we're not profitable, we haven't really got a business. So your focus was on that pretty much from day one or year one.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Well, you touched on background. Could you just give us a bit of an insight then to where it all started for you and just your journey to where you're at now?
I can. So I fell into freight forwarding like I think 98.8% of people do. Yeah. Nobody leaves school wanting to be saying, I want to be a freight forwarder. I don't think they do anyway. Maybe they do now, and they should, I think, because it's a great industry, logistics. I basically started working for a freight forwarder at Heathrow when I was 17.
What was the role? Do you remember?
I was doing the filing, making the tea, and going to the airport and pick up documents and take customs entries to customs house. And I was the runner. I started off doing all the rubbish that's how you start. And then I worked my way up and became an import clerk. So I started doing import air freight shipments and customs clearances. I was all right at it. I didn't really enjoy it, but I love the buzz of the airport and moving stuff and understanding it. And I loved the global trade bit. I loved travel. I knew I hadn't traveled then, but I knew I wanted to travel.
Yeah, got you.
So I was hooked on that.
Yeah.
Looking at all these shipments coming in from Japan back then and the States. And I was like, that was pretty exotic. And I used to do customs clearances in my part-time, in my own time. I used to clear greyhounds through customs from Ireland.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right.
For the greyhound races.
Yeah.
That was like...
Was that just what you were into at the time?
No, I just got asked to do it. Somebody said, I need these greyhounds cleared and we'll sort you out some cash on a Saturday or a Sunday. Right. And I'm like, all right. I'll
turn into a side hustle.
Yeah, a little side hustle. And then I left and joined a company that had just started in the UK called Expeditors.
Yeah.
Who were very small then, just started in the UK. So I joined them as like employee number 7 in the UK, which was it was a tiny company then, but they just bought a little company to get into the UK market, and I was there for 11, 12 years, and they sent me to live in Hong Kong and Singapore, and traveled. I did that for a few years, and then I'd moved into sales. Then I'd moved into commercial. I liked chatting, and it was a lot less stressful than doing customs clearances. And then, I did that for about 11, 12 years. And then I was at Expeditors and then left to join Eagle Global Logistics, who just bought a company called SEKO, who are an old freight forward, a big company.
Yeah.
And they put the two together, and that eventually became SEVA.
Got you.
And I was there, I ran Europe sales and marketing for Europe, Middle East, Africa, and India for 3 years. And it was brilliant. Great company, brilliant people, just the best. Even though it was only 3 years, it was brilliant, just great. And putting two companies together, I think in our industry, that doesn't usually have a happy ending.
Yeah.
But actually it did.
Yeah.
Everyone got on. There was very little minimal overlap. Everyone was kind of...
How big were they both?
So I think both of them were then both about 800 million in revenue. So you put them together, it was a pretty decent enterprise, but there was very little overlap outside of the US, where there was a bit of overlap.
Yeah.
But Eagle were predominantly a US domestic business.
Got you.
And Circle were predominantly an international business.
Yeah. So
just the whole thing was just cross-pollinating that book of business.
Yeah.
And it was really good.
Yeah.
And actually I was telling this story yesterday to a mate of mine, that the chief exec's a guy called Jim Crane, who now owns Crane Worldwide, and Jim was the CEO, and he was my boss. And his instructions were like, don't talk to any new customers in the first year. We don't need to.
Right.
We've got all these guys here who are domestic, who want international. We've got all these guys here, and domestic, who are international and want domestic.
Yeah.
And that's all we did. And that probably carried on for the best part of a couple of years. And then I was friendly with Mark White, who was the kind of the instigator of the whole SEKO thing. Me and him we shared some customers. He had a freight forwarding company that he'd sold, called Ultimex.
Okay.
He'd sold that company and exited, and then me and him were mates. We'd shared a few customers when I was at Expeditors, and he had his business, and we'd become friendly.
Got you.
So, friendly. But we were actually. And then he just said, look, I've got this opportunity with this US domestic company that want to go global.
Yeah.
But the two guys that ran it in the States were very US focused.
Yeah.
But wanted to really grow the thing globally. And Mark had this idea to basically be the catalyst to make that happen with the two guys, Bill and Steve, in the US. And I was in Houston at the time, and Mark's like, look, do you want to have a chat about this? I think this could be something that we could do together. And Mark had got the two Keiths, Keith Gaskin and Keith O'Brien, both who worked for him at his old company.
Yeah.
Who wanted to follow him. Yeah. And then I came in, and there was about 8 of us, I think, when we started.
And what was that? Was there a process to it?
For you? Process?
Yeah, was there an interview? Yeah, almost.
No.
Just
there was lots of chats in the pub.
Yeah, yeah.
And Nick going to Mark's house, and because he was, he kind of had finished his old company and was not doing much. I was in the States, backwards and forwards in the States. So when I was back, we chatted and we talked about it probably for about 6 months.
Yeah.
And then I realized that, I'd always wanted to have my own.
Put your mark on something.
Yeah, put my mark on something. But I never had the balls to do it, is the truth, because it's quite hard when you're a commercial guy and you've got customer relationships and customers say, you should go out on your own, I'd follow you, I'll give you the business.
Yeah.
Back then that was definitely a thing. Now I think nowadays that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
But back then you could kind of do it, but you just didn't. I didn't have the confidence that that's putting it all on the line. I had a young family at the time.
Yeah.
And that's quite a big gamble. So, but doing it with the guys, it's like, okay, so there's not just me, there's 4 of us. There was actually 5 of us at the time. There was another a guy, Chan. There was 5 of us, and we're like, okay, well, we can figure this out. And so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Let's do it. So I jumped in, but the process was, it was very loosey-goosey, but fun, and you just realise you're doing it with the right people.
Yeah. And like, looking back, did you think at that point, this is going to be a massive, billion pound company? Or
I think I was so in the moment.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really, you're thinking, right, all of a sudden you go from a lovely big group of corporate people who are all on the same page. There was nothing. It was such a brilliant time. I can't speak highly enough of it. But I'd always had that itch I needed to scratch.
Yeah.
But when I jumped out of it, I just didn't have the time to really think about, this is going to be epic. I knew the people I was with were epic.
Yeah.
And I knew enough about the industry that if you get good people,
Good things happen.
good things happen, right?
Yeah.
And so that kind of made me realize, but it was a big risk. You know, I'd gone from that corporate world to the entrepreneurial world. That's a big change in circumstances, like 2 young kids, you know, had to, you know, remortgage houses and all sorts of, you know, risky stuff, which at the time you look back on now and you go, Jesus, what was I thinking? But you do it in the comfort of knowing the group you're doing it with, that you're all in it together, and it's not such a big risk after all. But yeah, and it all kind of, it definitely had a happy ending for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because obviously we grew the company, and the model that Mark was the architect of with Bill and Steve was so clever that, you know, we kept the companies separate. Mark and Keith focused on everything outside the US. Bill and Steve did the States.
Yeah.
We did the UK, then we opened Holland, then we opened, I can't remember what we did after that, Germany, I think. Then we did South Africa.
Yeah.
And then we did Asia, we did Hong Kong, China, you know, and it was a bit mad, really. You look back on it, I think we opened like 4 offices in China and Hong Kong on like literally the same day. I think
Really?
Keith went, and we had like 5 people in each office. And Keith went and lived there for a year and did it.
Right.
And then we built a team out. And, you know, now that's like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
You look back on it and you go, that's pretty insane.
Yeah.
But at the time, you're just focused on your customers, persuading your customers to keep giving you work, to keep giving you more. And we traveled a lot. You know, we just spent our lives, me and Mark particularly, just Asia, the States, you know,
a lot of time on the
with
road.
Customers and stuff. Yeah, it was fun. You know, it was a ride.
And who financed it? Like how was it? You know, when it first got going with the 5 year?
Yeah, we did.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, we did. Mark particularly put in the most because you know it was his idea.
Yeah.
Because he had the relationship with Bill and Steve historically from his prior life. So it was his idea. And we just kind of went along with it. But yeah, it was financed by us until we sold half it in 2015 to private equity.
Right. Got you. And are you able to disclose how much you think roughly would have been, you know, the starting pot and then the number you sold for when you got to private equity?
I mean, I can, probably some of it's in the public domain, but but the UK company, when we sold, our first couple of years, we were like let's talk about the UK company. You know, our first couple of years, we were like 3 million, 5 million revenue. And I think the year we sold finally in 21, which was our sort of final exit, the UK company was over 300 million.
Right, bum neck.
So in that, that's 20 years, right? It's
a
short amount of time.
Yeah.
But I think, we were about 280 or 290 million or something in the UK, and the company, obviously on the back of, at the end of 21, we were on the back of COVID, right?
Yeah.
So our revenues were, a little bit.
What a time to sell though. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, so we did half in 2015 to one private equity company, which worked really well. But we were still in because we still had, obviously we were still big shareholders, and we were still in for that from 2015 to 21. And then through COVID, and then an offer came in, and but they were like, yeah, let's do it.
So would your advice be, if you were going to go and set up a freight company now, or a logistics company in general, would you approach it the same way? Would you say, look, go and get 5 or 4 or business partners and go it that way, looking back? Or
yeah. I mean, I think doing it on your own, it's like doing anything, right? It's like humans work better either in pairs. There's a book that I read called Atomic Scaling, which is an amazing book, and it talks about how to scale. It's about the gaming industry, but how the gaming industry scales
Right.
infinitely better than any other industry. So
Yeah.
I've been reading it a lot. I've read it like 3 times to make it go in.
Yeah.
But there's a thing in that called magical pairs.
Right.
And it's how gaming companies pair guys and girls together.
Yeah.
Like, because they work better in pairs.
Yeah.
Rather than just being on their own. So you look back on it and I go, well, I would never have done it if I'd been on my own, because I didn't have the means. But even if I'd had the means, I probably wouldn't have the balls to do it.
Yeah.
Whereas when there's 3 or 4 or 5 of you egging each other on,
Yeah.
you know, taking the piss out of each other, making sure that one of you doesn't fail,
Yeah.
which is important.
Yeah.
We always used to say that generally, you know, there was whatever situation we had in our 20 years between us, there was always something that one of us was really good at.
Right. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like there's always, this situation's never happened. Actually, I'm really good at, let me figure that out or whatever. Yeah. And that we all fell into our natural slots.
And go on, who had which bit of ownership? If you were to,
if it was real detailed chess playing strategy, then it was always Mark.
Yeah,
because he's really good at that.
Yeah.
If it was dirty stuff, bad debt, people not paying, just shit customer stuff, that was always Keith.
Right.
Because he was really good at that.
Yeah.
He was really good at bad cop.
Yeah.
Like he was brilliant bad cop. And if it was, obviously, if it was customer stuff and doing that was me. But there was always, if there was something that we built a service or a product around a customer, I was the one that would always think about, right, how can we do that again for somebody else? How can we replay that again? How can we tweak this, change this to make it repeatable?
Yeah.
Rather than just building a solution for one customer that you go, okay, well, that's great, but we can't do anything with it now.
Yeah.
That was that. So yeah, there was always a place for, and I would, I would never be very good at being the bad cop, and we would never really generally put Keith in front of new customers because it was just, we all had our place,
Yeah. No, interesting. And then if you were going to, when you're selling to private equity, was that an easy thing to do? Like how long did that take?
I can only talk the first time round because we were all highly involved first time round. Second time round, because we were by then a proper corporation.
Yeah.
And we had a CEO in the States, and we had all the management where it was in the States, and it was very US centric. The second time round, we had very little to do with it.
Yeah. Because
it was all done through Chicago.
Right,
we were just told what was going on, and we're like, okay, sounds good. But the first time, which was process started in 2014, and then we sold in 2015, was really interesting because what had happened was, even though, this was part of the master plan of Mark, Bill and Steve, was that even though it looked like we had these, 100 offices around the world and in 30 countries, the equity ownership was all totally different.
Right.
So the US was different to Holland. Holland was different from the UK. UK was different from Hong Kong and China. But at the top level, and it all looked the same. But underneath it was quite gnarly.
Yeah.
So that all had to be changed and leveled up to make it a proper company. And then what had happened was we'd had an approach. The UK company had an approach for acquisition from a competitor. We'd had a load actually, but we'd had a really serious one in 2014 and I think 2013, and it was really good, and it was good enough for us to go, blimey, that's interesting. And then Mark had gone to Chicago to see Bill and Steve, and it turned out they'd had similar for the US company.
Oh, right.
And then obviously we sat down and said, well, now's obviously the time to put it together and do it.
And what was it that made it a serious offer from a competitor versus, just some, did they just have to throw a number at it and say, hey, look, we want you for this much?
It comes down to to what's it worth, and with it, and we were doing very well. We were profitable, but we were freight forwarding metrics profitable, which is still good, right? But yeah, it was the offer, and it was serious that we were like, okay, well, that's interesting. It's probably too early, but and we'd had a few. We'd actually had some as early as 05, 06, where we were like 2 or 3 years old. But this one was serious, and that instigated the whole thing. And then again, Mark and Bill and Steve and the guys, they basically put a book together, and the process was they put it out into the market, get an advisor, and then the advisor basically puts it out to the private equity companies who are interested. And and we got a load. I think there was a lot of interest and a lot of offers, and then it got down to the final 2, and then we had to do like a global sort of due diligence roadshow with them, and travelled with these guys around the world. I got one of them. I actually was with the company that we didn't pick, but I travelled all over Asia and the States, and because they wanted to see, they're like, hey, show us. You said in your PowerPoint you've got this, show us.
Right.
And we were like, okay, fair enough. So went with them, took a couple of weeks, they came back and they were like, yeah, we want to do a deal. But in the end, we chose the company Greenbrier, who were the company that we ended up going with, who were brilliant. But yeah, it's an interesting problem. Obviously, I'd never been through anything like that before.
No, and I feel like there's going to be people out there in the market that are probably building for
exit,
that kind of exit.
I mean, it's I think the thing is that now, obviously, with early stage VC, there's these guys do a lot more deals, but a lot lower value with a lot lower, much higher risk of it not working out. And that's very different to the private equity type level that we were at when we were only at that level, because we were at that size of business. We were
much safer for a VC to...
Well, it's much safer for PE, because obviously it's a repeatable process. It's a repeatable business. It's had profit over 3-4 years. That's kind of following that trajectory that they want. I think when we did the deal in 2015, globally, I think we were 500 million in revenue, which I think was roughly kind of 2/3 the US. I think it was about, I think it was about 1/3 the US, 1/3 Europe, and 1/3 Asia ish. And then when we did the deal end of 21, post COVID, we were over 2 billion. So that was, in 6 years. That was rapid. But obviously with the COVID bit in the middle, that probably
injected some steroids into it.
Exactly. So, but yeah, it's a really interesting process. But I think that, logistics come with their freight forwarders or whatever, they're probably easier to go VC early, because obviously the size and stuff is easier for them to do.
Was there ever like a moment where you were getting the deal all prepared, due diligence, going showing them, but there was a potential risk of the deal dropping out, or was there any like worry around the deal at all? Or
there was a situation in the UK just as we were about to do the deal in 2015, which was, I look back on now and it's kind of, it's like it was mad, but we got through it. But it was definitely one of those that was going to scupper the deal. I can't say
what exactly it was.
No, but it was pretty. We thought it was pretty serious. It turned out that they didn't really think it was that serious. It was just, but we were like panicking. But they didn't really see it as much of an issue. But situations like that are pretty, that's like, keep you up at night.
I was going to say, like, I can only imagine, you've got a deal on the table, it's life changing, right? And is there that sort of moment where something,
I think, I think that Hasn't happened as well. It's happened a couple of times, but that time that was life changing. I think for me, honestly, and being like really honest, when it happened for us, which was kind of 2015, I had my dad had terminal cancer,
Right.
and to be honest, I didn't really give a shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I was like,
life had been put in perspective.
yeah, I was like, this is all great, but so my eye was off the ball a little bit, which at the time, the guys they kind of, when you talk about picking you up and stuff, they were like, it's fine, we got it. Don't worry, you ain't got to do anything. Just focus on what you got to do. Yeah. So I had that in the back of my mind, but it's still a nice thing because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort to get a business to that size and have that many people and grow like that, and the stories, and it was great fun. Yeah, definitely. I couldn't do it again because I'm too old, but I'd definitely have a bash at it again if I could.
No, I hear you. Well, probably a good time to probably get into what's David Emerson into right now, because speaking to you before,
Landman.
Yeah. One of George's favourites. Landman. I've not got into it yet. You've said
it's pretty much it. Landman. Yeah, it's so good for many reasons. So yeah, when we were at SEKO, we also had sort of a couple of investment vehicles where we dabbled in stuff that was. And this is the UK shareholder group. This is me, Mark, Keith, and Keith. Where we just invested in things that were all connected to the mothership. We didn't invest in roller discos or stuff like. We only invested in stuff that was logistics and supply chain
in around the ecosystem.
Yeah, and we'd had an early success. We had a business that one of our guys had come up with an idea, and we backed him, and we ended up. That was a company called dutycalculator.com. That was one of the first e-commerce like in basket landed cost calculators.
Yes.
So that was, we'd had early success with that and thought, we sold that to Pitney Bowes in 2016, I think.
Right.
So we liked that. So, and Mark had always done other stuff, and then we all started doing stuff together. And then that's just led on to, we have Logistics Labs, which is our kind of bootstrap venture studio where we back logistics and technology companies, startups, some of them pre-revenue, some of them post-revenue.
Okay.
And we only stick to the knitting. We only do because we can pull it apart. If it's logistics, e-com, fulfillment,
you can look under the hood.
We can look under the hood and we know what we're looking at. Yeah. So we do that. And then we all do our own stuff. So I'm the one that I spend the most time on is Wayfinder,
right?
Who are a brilliant business based out of Hong Kong, who are a 4PL, e-commerce fulfillment led 4PL, but they do a lot of other stuff. And I'm a shareholder in that business, founded by two Kiwis. It's business about 7 years old. Most of the staff are in Asia, Hong Kong, Vietnam. And brilliant company, great tech, great customer base.
And how did you come about those guys?
They were recommended to me. They were looking for somebody they were looking for like a chairman, somebody to be advisory. And I started getting involved with them. They got recommended to me by two different people, which was good. And I just like them. They're just great guys, and they got a great business. And so we've done a lot with it. We changed the name.
What was it originally?
It was CBIP Logistics. Which
right.
See, that was their kind of initials, and I was like, guys, that's not gonna fly. So we came up with Wayfinder because it's all about helping brands find their way.
Got you.
So helping them go into new markets, how to, get through, do cross-border parcels, but mainly do fulfillment in market.
Got you.
Which works really well.
Yeah.
And the company's just doing blinding.
Is it all into like B2C? Or?
Most of the merchants they've got are omni-channel. So they're doing, but it tends to be e-com led. Most of the merchants are e-commerce led, but they have wholesale and retail.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they do really well. I spend a lot of time with Wayfinder. And then I do some advisory for some early stage VCs.
Yeah.
So when the stuff comes across their book and they might like it and it's logistics, supply chain,
Yeah.
they ask me to either get involved, not hands-on, but certainly more than just a meeting here and there with the company, strategy, direction, go to market, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of where I've been spending most of my time. And then we've also just done a deal with in the summer we did a company in Berlin, an AI engineering software business that we love, just really smart group of people that are building great products for the logistics and technology industry. And we just love it. And they're doing some stuff that's pretty neat.
So what like, because it sounds like you're not necessarily in the trenches anymore, like you're in this advisory investor sort of position. So day to day, like, what is it you focus on? How does your sort of day, week kind of operate now?
Well, yeah, I mean, it varies. I definitely try not to do much on a Friday. Is the truth. Friday tends to be a day of not doing an awful lot. But the rest is, I spend a lot of time on Wayfinder.
Right.
And one of the other key advisories that I work with is a robotics business.
Okay.
That a company called Flocksmind, who are VC backed.
Yeah.
And they basically are bringing robotics as a service to 3PLs in Europe and the UK. It's really cool. It's brilliant.
Sounds it.
It is really brilliant. And so I spend quite a bit of time with them.
Yes.
And then, just doing other stuff.
Yeah.
Like the Berlin thing, spending quite a lot of time on that, just trying to figure out what we want to do with that. But it's great, but you kind of, I do kind of weirdly miss the single mission thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, because I've been doing this now.
The badge and really,
Yeah, over about 2.5 years now, I think. And I like it, and the variation's good, and no 2 days are the same.
Yeah.
But there is something special about just getting up and doing one thing.
Yeah.
And and at SEKO, we had no chance. That was it. They had no time for anything else.
Yeah.
So you kind of, but I do kind of miss that one thing. So
interesting.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you have got quite a few plates spinning, let's say, for companies you're involved in. Is the room for any more? And two, what's like the checklist for you to say, oh, that's exciting, like that actually, I can see myself investing in that kind of company or that kind of person. What is it you look at?
Well, the first question, is there room for any more? You'd probably need to ask my missus that, not me, because she's definitely got an opinion on that. I would say that the thing that when I look at stuff and think it's the people, Joey. It's generally the founder or the founders. I mean, the idea, obviously, in the business they're building, definitely, because if they're brilliant founders, but they're building a business that you think, okay, well, that's not very good. You've still got the founders, right? You've still got them, because maybe you can say, well, actually, how about
the individual?
How about you do something else?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's always comes down to the person, really, and if they've got something, whether it's like they're a diamond in the rough or they're just super smart. It's like that whole thing of the atomic scaling, the magic pairs. I think that if you've got someone super smart and you pair them like super smart technically, and you pair them with someone brilliantly commercial, that could be quite formidable.
Yeah.
It's like, we've seen that if you pair people that have got loads of experience and, come from the industry and know it intrinsically, and you put them with people that are trying to, young people that are trying to disrupt the industry, you put those together, that also becomes really, really interesting as well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, generally it comes down to the person, really, I think.
Okay.
Like any business, are they,
Got to meet them, feel them out. Yeah.
and what are they like? Are they going to work hard? Are they going to do their best kind of thing? Or are they just looking for the
Easy ride.
or they're, playing at being the CEO kind of thing rather than doing it?
Yeah. No, interesting. Well, I guess what would your advice be now to someone who's, who's maybe got an idea or is thinking of going their own? Like, what would your advice be to them?
I mean, I'd always say now's the time, right? There's no barriers now. There's all these vibe code apps, Replit, Base 44, Lovable.
Yeah.
You can build a prototype in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And then you can do all your marketing outsourced. You can do it on the, with all these AI things that are available. It's just insane the amount of tools that are available that basically can do everything and anything, particularly in go-to-market marketing and soon now in logistics and supply chain. If you've got an idea, I think you've got to just get on with it. Otherwise, it's like I know that, if it hadn't have been for the sort of the persuasiveness of, the guys when we started SEKO, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Right. It was in the back of my mind, but I just didn't have.
And did any of you did you guys have like a mentor, or did you have someone who, you would almost be accountable to when building sort of SEKO?
I think maybe individually we might have all had people, but we didn't. I think we were all accountable to each other. Yeah. Which is quite a big,
powerful thing.
You don't want to and you don't want to be the guy that goes into the board meeting or whatever and you haven't done your homework, right? Yeah. Or you're last on the leaderboard, or everyone else has done this and you've not done that. You never wanted to be like that. It was actually, we were quite competitive, whether it was a game of pool, which was always,
Was that the go-to?
That was the go-to. Yeah. Or a game of darts or whatever it was, or a game of five-a-side. We played five-a-side religiously for years and years after work on a Monday for years, all of us. And it was brutal. Yeah. Right? It was brutal, but it was fun, and that's the stuff that, you're accountable to each other. And when there's things happening that are outside of business, like I talked about, when we were exiting or we were selling and, my dad wasn't well, then the guys kind of just make sure you don't need to worry about that. You worry about what you've got to worry about. Yeah.
No, I hear you. And where did you rank on the pool?
Oh, I was always last.
Where?
Yeah, I was. I think it's my eyesight. I was always good at the five-a-side. I was decent at five-a-side. Yeah. But at pool, Keith, it kills me to say it.
Yeah.
O'Brien was really good at pool. It was the only sport he was good at, but he was good at pool.
Yeah. Love that. Well, what was I guess looking back, what do you think in your leadership career, what do you think has been your best moment in terms of being a leader in logistics?
I would say I'd probably say, blimey, that's a really good question. I should have asked me that a week ago. Probably could have thought of one. I've been lucky. I've had a lot of really memorable moments. I mean, definitely when I was at Expeditors and we won the British Airways Supplier of the Year, which was a customer that I brought to the business, and it was huge, and it was a massive thing to do when we won at the Grosvenor House Black Tie Do, and we got the whole Supplier of the Year for the whole airline. That was pretty
monumental.
That was pretty special.
Yeah.
That was pretty spectacular, actually. And then, winning deals. I think when weirdly, another airline, when we won at SEKO, when we won the Virgin Atlantic, huge contract for which SEKO've still got. That was 2014. That was huge, and we'd never won a deal like that. And winning that was pretty special.
And you led that, did you?
I did, yeah, because they'd been a customer at the old place, and they kind of stuck around. But then they gave us like everything, like literally everything.
Oh, right.
It's huge.
Wow.
So that was big, and we were kind of thinking that probably won't go for us because there's probably some safer pairs of hands. But our solution was brilliant. Even if I do say so myself, our solution was so good.
Yeah.
But we're like, we're risky. But Virgin are a brilliant company, and they're happy to take a risk on the underdog.
Got you.
Which is the truth. They were like, look, you're the underdog, but we like you guys the best, so let's do it.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was it. And SEKO's still got that work. Like they'll have it forever. I'm
still
sure.
Going now.
Yeah.
Still lives.
So those were, those were good stories. Well, we've had a few,
Yeah. No, very cool, mate. Yeah. And where do you see it all in the next sort of 5 years? What do you,
For me, staying alive.
Yeah.
I can't see. I'm just not ready to hang up my boots yet, is the truth. I feel like, and I think it's there's a couple of reasons. One, when I played football, I used to be a goalkeeper, and goalkeepers always used to be the oldest.
Yeah.
Because they could stick around because they never used to run, which I never did. So I think there's a bit of that. And also, because of my family dynamics, I've got older kids that are grown-ups, allegedly. But then I've got an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
So, she's got to go through school and stuff. And I'm like, well, what else would I do?
Yeah.
And I'm a member at the golf club, and I play a bit of golf. And I'm like, but I have a round of golf, and I'm like, I don't want to do that again for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And stuff. So, we're not exactly going to be able to jump on cruise ships and all that stuff with an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, go back to what I said at the beginning. It's like, I don't want. In fact, Mark said something to me a couple of months ago. He's like, you don't want the youngsters to have all the fun.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's it. There's so much opportunity.
Yeah.
Now's the time to be jumping in. Not jumping out.
And you can probably see it quite clear given the road you've been down before.
I think so. I think that you see, and we see it, that people are coming. I had a deck come to me yesterday from an investor, and it was another logistics thing, and I can see what they're building, this company. They're really smart, 6 of them, and they're building this thing in logistics, but they're just looking at one little bit, which I don't think is a bad thing, because you want to start narrow. But you're like, wow, I'm thinking, well, if you plug this into this and then did this to this, and that's the bit I kind of enjoy,
Yeah.
So that I'll just try to do more of that, really. Maybe have a few more holidays. That's
Well, have you got anything booked for this year?
we're going to Portugal at Easter.
Nice.
And then that's it, I think, so far. I'll see how it goes.
And just gonna fire from the hip from there.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've got Disneyland on the bucket list this year. So that's my 3. I've got 3 girls. So
3 girls.
Yeah.
Man, that's brutal.
So they're at that age.
How old are they?
So 8 now. 8, 6, and 5.
Oh man, you got.
So bang, 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 and they're.
So you're going to Florida?
Well, no, I think we're going to do Paris, because apparently for older kids, Florida's probably the better bet.
Yeah.
But then younger, for just getting around and stuff, Paris is probably the.
Yeah, we were in Paris last week, but we my daughter didn't. She doesn't like.
Not into the Disney thing.
So lucky. She doesn't like Disneyland. She doesn't like Mickey Mouse. Finds him a bit creepy.
Yeah.
So we just did the city and stuff, which was
nice.
Which was great.
Yeah. We'll probably try and do that as well, to be fair, while we're out there.
You should.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Try and mix it.
It's a great walk around the city.
Yeah.
Wait till the weather gets a bit better, because it was pretty grim last week.
Was it?
Oh mate, it was brutal. Yeah. It was awful. Up the Eiffel Tower, I couldn't see. It was like cloudy. You couldn't see Paris.
Yeah, not quite the sightseeing you expected.
It wasn't quite, exactly. It needed to be closer to the ground.
Oh, well, David, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
It's been a great conversation.
Cool. Thanks, Joey.